All right, well, I'm trying to get this broad view, and I'm trying to create the layers of depth. I have to control the value range. I'm establishing my horizon line right about below the flat roof of Gould Hall. This building here is my left boundary. The brick building is on my right. I'm going to focus on this long view looking toward downtown Seattle. But this view is a pretty broad view of from the UW campus looking toward downtown Seattle. It's a difficult view because of the landscape and realizing that the streets, if you look at the streets, they're actually not level. They're actually the 15th Avenue is going downhill. The street leaving the campus is also going downhill. This is a ramp going down. So not much is level. The other thing that we want to try to work on is try to create layers of depth so that these trees in the foreground, then the middle ground will be those trees and Gould Hall, and then beyond that, the beginning of Capitol Hill, and even beyond that, you can see the skyline of Seattle. So we want to try to create at least 4 layers of depth, so we have to simplify the scene. I'm going to first try to block out the major elements relative to each other and check that first before we actually develop the drawing further. And to do that, I have to imagine my eye level is just below the flat rooftop of Gould Hall. So I'm going to establish that first. I want the drawing to encompass this structure immediately to my left and that brick building to my right. And so I can imagine Gould Hall is going to be right about there. And since the flat roof is just above my horizon line, we don't see much convergence. I'm simply going to establish very quickly when doing trees, other landscape elements, try not to use a continuous line. I use a broken line to try to create the foliage rather than a solid line. I'm going to use a series of dotted lines to indicate the profile of the hill beyond. I'm imagining the street, ignoring for a minute these trees. To get the height of this building to my left, I'm referencing this corner here and looking at it, and just trying to visualize this line of relationship right there. So what we have here is just basically blocking out the entire view. So I'm checking relationships from each to the other. I can still make some adjustments. For example, the height of these skylights, I can still elevate it a little bit, try to correct some of these measurements. I can check how much I see here, and so on and so forth. The next step will be trying to establish a range of values, like what's going to be light and dark. If I make these foreground trees, middle ground, and background all the same value, I lose the depth. So I think I'm going to have most of the value, high contrast values in the middle, and I'm going to imply the depth beyond by staying lighter.